Hello everyone, we are Group 3 and we'll be discussing and role-playing the challenges and issues in teaching reading and its coping mechanisms. Teaching reading is a difficult process that requires a wide range of skills and knowledge. If a learner is experiencing circumstances that hinder their ability to read, it is difficult to teach them. If the teacher knows how to strategize, then it is not a big problem to indulge in a discussion of the reading part. Every teacher must know what the situation of their student is to provide for their proper needs. Given the complexity of reading, both the teacher and the learners must give it their complete attention. The challenges and issues of learning how to read are several, such as those faced by children with special needs, such as those with dyslexia, ADHD, poor vision, stuttering, and a visual perceptual or visual motor deficit. Next is retention difficulty for those learners who have poor comprehension, poor decoding, or trouble remembering and summarizing. Next is speed, and lastly, lack of exposure to reading materials. Later, you will be able to learn about these issues and how to organize a strategy that we may use to teach reading.
The first challenge the teachers may encounter in teaching reading is dealing with students that have special needs. The first on our list is specifically those who have varying degrees of difficulty with reading, spelling, and listening, or students with dyslexia. You may ask, how does this affect the teaching reading process of a learner? And how do we deal with this challenge? Well, here is a brief scenario.
Good morning, ma'am. I was told you were looking for me. Oh, yes. Good morning. Please have a seat. Now, I just want to talk to you about what I have noticed in our reading session in class a while ago. I have observed that you have quite difficulty in identifying sounds and reading words in a text, am I correct? Well, yes, about that. To tell you honestly, ma'am, I can't seem to find it in me to enjoy reading because most of the time I end up getting frustrated in identifying letters and words in text, which gets me unmotivated to continue reading, and I'm not really sure what to do about it. I see. Thank you for informing me about this. Now, I suggest that in order to address this, we should go back to strengthening your basics in reading. Maybe we can do some reading exercise every after class. How does that work for you? Of course. Thank you, ma'am. Alright, now let's start our reading exercise for today by first doing a sound warm-up. Now, I have prepared here some flashcards, and each of these flashcards has a letter in it. I want you to identify the letter that I will show in these flashcards and how does it sound. Alright? Great, now, here is the first letter. What letter is this? K. And how does it sound? Alright, good. How about this one? R. R. Well done. The next one? A. A. Ah. Alright, and the last one? P. Well done. Now this time, let's try blending these letters and sounds into words. Now, how about we add this letter at the start of this word? How will you read this one? R. Pa. 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 Park. 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 Excellent. Now, can you use it in a sentence? I walk my dog to the park. You got it. You're doing really great right now. So let's do more exercises and maybe we can add some more letters and sounds. Okay? Shall we continue?
Dyslexia is most commonly associated with trouble learning to read. We see in the scenario that it really affects a child's ability to recognize and manipulate the sounds in language. Some students with dyslexia are able to keep up with their peers with extra effort at least for the first few grades. But as they reach a higher grade, they need to be able to read quickly and fluently in order to keep up with their work, in which they run into trouble. However, dyslexia is not a reflection of a child's intelligence. With help and strategies for compensating for their weakness in decoding, students with dyslexia can learn to read and thrive academically. To Margie Gillies, a literacy expert and teacher trainer, reading intervention is important for students with dyslexia as it is a very focused, intentional method that goes deeper into the struggles of students with difficulty reading. Reading intervention is different from getting a simple help in reading because it follows certain steps routinely that students can follow and remember. It is a building block that may start from identifying sounds to making a single syllable word and then building a phrase or a sentence. It is sequenced, systematic, explicit instruction targeting specific skills. Since students with dyslexia need extra attention in developing the reading skill, it is important that teachers maintain progress monitoring, proper pacing, engagement and motivation, as well as practice. Some strategies may also be utilized, like using simpler and clearer fonts, adjusting font size, or allowing them to listen to audiobooks as they read along the text. In the end, it is important that teachers are flexible in their teaching strategies and cater to the learning styles of their students so as to become efficient in the teaching reading process.
One challenge in reading under children with special needs is the students with ADHD or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. People with ADHD will have at least two or three of the following challenges: difficulty staying on task, paying attention, daydreaming or turning out, organizational issues, and hyperfocus, which causes us to lose track of time. So students with ADHD are often highly sensitive and empathetic. To understand how it affects children in school, let's look at the story of Adam, a 13-year-old boy who goes to school with best intentions but struggles hard to succeed.
Attention deficit is his biggest problem. Adam gets distracted so easily. It happens even when he tries his hardest to focus. He often realizes that he has suddenly zoned out and has spent the last 15 minutes thinking about something entirely different. Just the tiniest thing can get him off the track. To him, it feels like his brain is broken.
Okay, now everyone, please repeat after me. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia.
He is also forgetful. Books and homework are often left at home, and if he doesn't miss an assignment, he often loses it somewhere or forgets to turn it in. His grades are terrible, and some teachers are beginning to think he is a lost case. For teachers are having a hard time teaching Adam, specifically in reading.
Fini school fourth year medical.
Then, there is his hyperactivity. When they have to do group work, he is restless and has trouble staying focused. Staying calm and listening while others speak can completely drain him, making any normal conversation a serious challenge.
Yanni, you will be the one to read the first part in our report. Is it okay with you? Okay, I'm on it.
To him, it feels like there is no capacity left in his brain to deal with all the input that needs to be processed. He then feels angry about not being able to follow along. To help cope with this hyperactivity, he likes to keep his hands busy all the time. Last, there is his impulsive behavior. He often cannot refrain from saying things that come to his mind. Sometimes he tries hard to control himself, but then just blurts out and interrupts others.
About metaphor. So a metaphor is a figure of speech that describes an object or an action in a way that isn't literally true, but it helps us explain an idea or make a comparison. So, for example, Leah is an early bird. Bird.
His classmates find this annoying. He later regrets his hot-headed behavior. But he knows that, unfortunately, he will do it again and again.
Hey Josh, you smell like a rotten fish.
It seems to him that he can't learn from his mistakes. Teachers get frustrated trying to get him to behave. Others become impatient, give up, or distance themselves.
As future teachers, what should we do if we have students with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder? First, change the environment. Put the student in the front row of the class and let him be surrounded with supportive students that can help him cope with the lesson. Give the student a positive environment. Second, change how information is presented or taught. Teachers should have long patience because students with this disorder need to be constantly motivated and inspired by their teachers. Also, teachers should employ different teaching strategies, methods, techniques, and approaches to satisfy the student's needs. Listing all his assignments can also help him remember and do homework easier to track. To relax, he can use fidget objects during lessons and take short breaks when needed. Lastly, skill teaching. Teacher must simplify tasks and instructions. This way, the student will be able to understand the text he or she is reading. And keep your feedback positive and use visual aids to get their attention. Lastly, give the student a one-on-one teaching and learning session.
Poor vision is one of the challenges that a student encountered while reading. Having a poor vision can affect learning by lowering reading comprehension skills. But there are some strategies that can help students deal with the problem.
Good morning, class.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Mom.
So today, I want you to read any kinds of book and list down what you have learned and pass it tomorrow, okay?
Yes, ma'am. In the book of James, the author names.
It seems like you have a problem, Miss Braddock.
Yes, mom, I have a problem reading this book. The words are very small and I cannot clearly see it.
Here, you can have this big book instead of that.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Among the society that gathers in smaller town, Michigan, it is somewhat freakish to be a single, 20-something female who dreams of having a killer resume and wages. For that matter, in smaller town, it is something. In one sense, the connection between vision and reading is obvious. We need to use our eyes to read the words in front of us. However, there is much more to the vision reading link than that 80% of the information has been received. The brain must correctly interpret it so we can properly understand what we are seeing. With reading in particular, it is vital that all parts of this process work correctly, since there are many small details involved with reading. Poor vision can affect learning by lowering reading comprehension skills. Our eyes must work together effectively to move across a page, make sense of letters, and understand what is written. Children with a vision-related problem will typically lose their place while reading and confuse similar-looking words because they can properly see the text. Because of this, children with poor vision often show signs of poor reading comprehension and may struggle to keep up with the class activities. So there are cases like, first, a far-sighted child. A farsighted child will likely complain of blurry vision and will squint and rub their eyes frequently as they try to work through their limitations. Second, a nearsighted child. It is where vision gets blurry and gets worse when he or she looks at a distant objects. Lastly, the astigmatism. It is when a child has blurry or double vision at any distance. To address this problem, a teacher should optimize classroom lighting. Increasing the amount and type of lighting can greatly improve reading ability in those with low vision. Moreover, the provision of large print books is very helpful for those learners with poor vision.
Today, I'll be presenting one of the challenges in teaching reading and its coping mechanism from the children with special needs, the speech disorder. One sunny day, in an online class, there was this special student who happens to be our main character. It was their English class and this happened. Okay class, today we'll be reading the amazing poem that was written by William Shakespeare. I will call you one by one to test your reading skills. Miss Grace, please read the poem loudly. Love by William Shakespeare. Tell me where is fancy bred, or in the heart or in the head? How begged, how nursed? Reply, reply. It is endangered in the eyes, with gazing fed and fancy dies. In the cradle where it lies, let us all ring fancy's knell. I'll begin it, ding-dong bell, all ding-dong bell. Very good, Miss Grace. I can see that you have improved your reading skills. Okay, next in line is Jen. Please read the poem. Love by William Shakespeare. Tell me where is fancy bred, or in the heart, or in the head? How begged, how nourished? Reply, reply. It is endangered in the eyes, with gazing feet and fancy dies. In the cradle where it lies, let us all ring fancy's knell. I'll begin it, ding-dong bell, all ding-dong bell. Great job, Miss Jen. However, we still need to work on your pronunciation, but all in all, you did a very good job. And now, let me call on Miss Marie. Please read the poem. Love by William Shakespeare. Tell me where is fancy bred, or in the heart, or in the head? How begged, how nourished? Reply, reply. It is endangered in the eyes, with gazing fed and fancy dies. In the cradle where it lies, let us all ring fancies knell. I'll begin it, the ding-dong bell, all the ding-dong bell. Miss Marie, are you okay? You seem to be nervous while reading the poem. Yes, ma'am. Okay. The teacher noticed that there is something wrong with Miss Marie, though the student said that she is nervous, but it is not normal to stutter a lot like that. So to make her worries disappear, she contacted Mary's parents and discussed about what happened. The discussion went well, and the teacher discovered that Marie has a speech disorder. Her stuttering is not just about being nervous at all. So after that, the teacher think of a solution, a simple one that can help Marie to improve in her reading skills. So what is speech disorder? Speech disorder is a condition in which a person has problems creating or forming the speech sounds needed to communicate with others. This can make the child's speech difficult to understand. So, what causes the speech disorder? Speech is one of the main ways in which we communicate with those around us. It develops naturally along with other signs of normal growth and development. Disorders of speech and language are common in children. Ma'am, I have an idea on how to treat Marie's speech disorder. She will undergo speech therapy for her to be able to read without having stutter voice. Let's discuss what is speech therapy. Speech therapy is the assessment and treating of communication problems and speech disorders. It is performed by speech language pathologists or SLPs, which are often referred to as speech therapists. Speech therapy techniques are used to improve communication. This includes articulation therapy, language intervention activities, and other depending on the types of speech or language disorder. Speech therapy may be needed for speech disorders that develop in childhood or speech impairments in adults caused by an injury or illness such as stroke or brain injury. There are lots of circumstances that a teacher might encounter, but all they have to do is to keep calm and think of a solution that could help their students to improve their skills more. Having this kind of disorder is not easy. It needs patience and understanding. Also, those people experiencing this might have low self-confidence when it comes to reading, so a motivation or encouragement from their teacher and parents will be needed.
And now, let us move on to the next challenges that a teacher encounters in their teaching journey. That is a visual motor deficit or a visual impairment. So there are a lot of challenges that a teacher encounters in their teaching journey. And one of the challenges is a visual motor deficit or visual impairment. So why does visual motor deficit become a challenge to a teacher? So this is how it goes. So now I'm going to reenact what will happen if a student will have a visual motor deficit. So good day, class. Can you tell me what is this thing? Hi, teacher. I think it's a stick. Oh, that's not a stick. It is a coat. So, to discuss further about the visual perception deficit or the visual motor deficit, this is one of the challenges that a teacher encounters in their teaching journey, in which the brain interprets and processes visual information, and visual perceptual deficit can affect academic performance in areas such as reading and math, as well as sports performances and other day-to-day activities. So, deficit with visual processing affect how visual info is interpreted or processed by the brain. So, there are challenges, there are problems that an individual encounter when he or she has visual motor deficit or visual perception deficit, such as confuse similar looking words, reverse letters and numbers, have poor reading comprehension, make error copying, easily forget letters, numbers, and words, and maybe that person is a poor speller. This is the challenges or the problem if the student will have a visual motor deficit. And if the student will have this one, how can he or she learn well if the information that she gets or the information she gained is wrong? That's why it is very important to focus on the challenges, especially to this visual motor deficit.
Good day, everyone. I am Kristen Jewel Abeliana. Since we are done for the first challenge or issue in teaching reading, which is when we encounter children with special needs in our class, let us now proceed to the next issue or challenge, which is the retention difficulty and one of it is the poor comprehension of the learners. So let us observe this scenario. Good day, class. Today we will read a story about the hare and the tortoise. Are you excited? Okay, let us be attentive and focus on reading. And may I ask Miss Shane to please read the text that I have given you? Thank you for that, Shane. Class, after Shane have read the story and after you have read it in your own, there in your seats, what if you understand the story that we have read? Why do you think the hare loses the race? Lose the race. Can anyone please share their ideas? Okay, how about you, Miss Ree? The hare have lost its way. I see. Thank you for that, Miss Ree. Yes, we need to read the story again to really understand the context. Okay, let's read together. Read with me, okay? Okay, ready? Okay, let's read the text. The hare and the tortoise. Once upon Okay, so who runs very fast? It's the hare, good. The hare runs fast while the tortoise walks very slowly. What did the tortoise say to the hare? He challenged the hare to have a Hey, good job. They had a race and the tortoise was very slow. Okay, let us finish the story. So why did the hare lose the race? Okay, Miss Ree. The hare loses because he stopped to take a nap and eat. Okay, very good. Now that we have finished the story, and I guess you already have understood it, I ask you to write a summary of it and write what you have learned from the story. So thank you so much for participating in our class. Teaching reading is challenging when learners have a poor comprehension. So when we say comprehension, it is the understanding and interpretation of what is read. So when we teach reading, our goal is both fluency and comprehension. So teachers should have multiple strategies to assure that learners read and understand the text properly. There are many ways we can teach reading comprehension. So we have traditional method, wherein teachers guide the students to understand what they're reading. It is So in the sample scenario earlier, we can see that the teacher is the one who initiates reading the text. It is the teacher who who guides the students to understand the context. So through interrupted questioning or asking questions in between the text, which we have seen in the scenario, students understand more on what they are reading because of it. So it will prevent information overload, especially for those learners who are just beginners in reading. So also, as you have observed in the last part of the scenario, the teacher asks the students to summarize the text they have read and to write what they have learned from the story. So this is one of the strategies under explicit teaching. So explicit teaching is when teachers directly teach students the strategies they need to apply. When teachers impart the reading comprehension strategies directly to them. So summarizing is one of it. So, and it is a strategy that a student must practice. So through summarizing, through writing what they have learned, students will be challenged to really understand what they are reading. So it will also increase their retention. So however, we need to take note that as a teacher, we also have to motivate students in reading. We should encourage them to read, and we need to strategize in making activities to make reading fun so that they will be attached to it. So even though we teach students reading comprehension, we teach them how to fluently read, if they're not willing to read, if they're unmotivated in reading, it will be difficult for them to develop their reading skills. So also learners have different pace in learning. So it is the teacher's duty to strategize different ways to assure that students are really learning. So that's it for the issue in poor comprehension under the retention difficulty and its coping mechanism. Thank you so much.
Poor decoding is the second retention difficulty. It's more common to beginner readers when they meet new or unfamiliar words. So let's learn about poor decoding. Class, at this time, I will call students to read this short passage. Who's the lucky student? Oh, Cassie, would you mind reading to me the short passage in page 35? Him. I think Marco would love to read it more for you.
Oh no, Cassie, you can do it.
Don't mind Marca, Cassie. Now, please read the passage. The wise men. People have been coming to the wise men, complaining about the same problems every time. One day, he told them a joke, and everyone roared, roared in laughter. After a couple of minutes, he told them the same joke, and only a few of them smiled. When he told the same joke for the third time, no one laughed anymore. The wise woman smiled and said, You can't laugh at the same joke over and over. So why are you always crying about the same problem? Thank you for reading, Cassie. And anyway, class, before you go, I just wanted to inform you again that you did a great job for today. And Cassie, you please go to my table after this, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Cassie, I understand that you are still having some issues for you to practice reading, but I am here and we are helping you out throughout this process. Okay, so I would like to inform you that you should make sure to check the phonemes that you are using. Okay, Cassie, I will just let you read this first so we can just give it a try. Okay, can you read this? Bag. Bag.
Yes, you got it correctly, Cassie. So how about this one?
Okay, can you read it out to me as well? Biogenic. You got it correctly, Cassie. Though not that fast, but I know that you can make it, and we can take this step by step so we can help you in decoding the words easily. All right? Thank you so much, ma'am. Wow, and now I do understand what is decoding all about. So it is the process by which a word is broken into individual phonemes and recognized based on those phonemes. It is also known as sounding out words. Decoding is when children are able to put sounds to letters in order to sound out written language.
That was amazing, right? But what causes decoding difficulties?
These are vision or hearing problems, limited access to literacy or language experiences in the home, and or lack of preschool, educational gaps, phonological processing problems, visual processing issues, attention problems, and a lot more. As a classroom teacher, you have so much power to influence and help you for struggling readers. Reading success starts with solid literacy instruction, and especially in the early grades, a strong foundation in phonological awareness and phonics are essential. When a primary student is having trouble with decoding, these are the specific steps you can take. First, analyze the child's decoding errors to determine what the child is doing well as what error patterns are present. Second, teach specific phonics patterns and decoding strategies based upon analysis of the child's decoding errors. Third, provide practice with appropriate phonological awareness skills. Another one is teach relevant high frequency words. And lastly, you can create opportunities for the child to read and reread as many texts as possible, or volume reading.
Retention requires both decoding and comprehending what is written. This task relies on high-level cognitive skills, including memory and the ability to group and retrieve related ideas. Having trouble to remember or summarize what is read is one of the difficulties in retention. Many students struggle with these things because reading can be challenging, time-consuming, and sometimes a lot more rigorous. However, with some effective strategies, we can make our reading time meaningful, focused, and productive. Okay, class, since we're already done in reading the short story about the necklace by Guy de Maupassant, can anyone tell everybody in the class the summarization of the story and of course tell us what he or she have learned after reading it? Anybody who wants to try and answer, can you raise your virtual hand?
Oh no, I already forgot what happened in some parts of the story. What should I do? Please don't call me.
Miss Ramos, can you share your answer to us?
Oh no, she called me.
Yes, ma'am. Can you tell us the summarization of the story entitled The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant and share to us what are the lessons that you have learned from it? The necklace by in the necklace by Guy de Maupassant, the main character has always dreamed of being an aristocrat but lives in poverty, and she. I'm so sorry, ma'am, but I forgot already. It's okay, Miss Ramos. I am sure you remember some of it. It's just that you need help to remember most of them. You can reread the story, okay? Anybody in the class who wants to help her? Me, ma'am. Yes, Mr. Hidalgo. In the story, Matilde Luisa lived in a small flat with her husband who worked as a clerk for the Minister of Education. Matilde was a very pretty and young lady. Neither did they live a luxurious life, nor were they poor. One day, her husband brings home an invitation to a ball. He thinks his wife will be excited to attend such a fancy party, but instead she is upset. She complains that she has nothing suitable to wear to such an extravagant occasion. The week of the party, Matilde seems anxious again. When her husband asks her why, she frets that she has no jewelry to wear with her dress. He suggested that perhaps she could borrow something from her friend Jean Forrester. Matilde goes to Jean's house and picks out a sparkling diamond necklace to borrow. Very good. Thank you for that, Mr. Hidalgo. Do you remember it now, Miss Ramos? Yes, ma'am. I remember the story now. Can I continue? Okay. She and her husband attended the gala and they had a fabulous time. She looked amazing and they danced all night. Finally, they head home in the wee hours of the morning. But when they arrived at their home, Matilde realized that the necklace was missing. They had enough money to purchase the replacement necklace, and Matilde gave it to Jean, who did not even look at it. Clearly, the lesson of the story is that honesty is the best policy. If Matilde had been honest with her friend from the start, she would have learned that the necklace wasn't made of real diamonds and would not have wasted 10 years for a replacement. Very good. Thank you, Miss Ramos. Yes, it is a fact that many times people either hide the truth or they just simply lie so that they can get saved from punishment or the anger of their loved ones. However, it should always be kept in mind that the ones close to us will never hold us responsible for little follies, only if we tell the truth and accept our mistakes. Having trouble in remembering or summarizing what is read is the third and last example of retention difficulty. In order to solve this one, retelling the scene or story is a useful learning technique as it encourages your students to make sense of or remember the information they read before saying it in his or her own words. Retelling can be used as an effective tool in improving comprehension as well as assessing it. During a retelling, teachers gain insight as to how students are putting together the information offered in a text. When students' understanding of a text is observed and analyzed during retelling, teachers discover what information students can remember and deem as important. Allowing your other student to help the other one and retell is also one way to aid students have the sense of camaraderie in the class. A retelling activity is an essential method to boost reading retention. The next time our students are reading, pick a short story for them to cover. Let them take a moment to remember the story or passage they just read and then retell it to you. If they are unable to do it or only remember the last sentence they read, encourage them to help one another, since some students may find it more fun to practice retelling the story with their classmates, either as it becomes more like a game and also give them time to read the passage again carefully before giving them the retelling activity another go.
In teaching, time is important. Majority of people tends to view that teaching is an easy profession. But in reality, teachers are confronted with great challenges and struggles. And one of these issues that teachers and students have been facing in a classroom is the speed of teaching and learning. When a teacher talks or teaches quickly, students often
struggles in taking notes and absorbing all of the information. And here is a scenario.
Keeping up with all the tasks, submissions, individual or group works at university can be very challenging. It feels like there aren't enough hours in a day to get everything done in time. The workload increases as the teacher instructs without minding their pace. We are constantly learning. However, our brains couldn't keep up if it is overloaded with a lot of information. And the best way to deal with this issue is to
So, Miss, oh, yes, can you repeat that one more time? Sure. So, as I was saying, oh yes, dear. Can you give us more examples? All right. So, one example is so in teaching, teachers need to take measures to properly manage time for an effective classroom environment. It is possible to keep up with the educational needs of every student. Also, in learning, it takes time for us to learn or to absorb knowledge. So, what we need to do is just ask questions, ask examples, ask for more details, and you can also ask for more time to learn the topics. So, we need to thoroughly discuss the topics and the lessons because in this way we can optimize the learning opportunities for the students. And while doing so, we are also creating a healthy environment for us to learn.
Now let us proceed to the last issue that teachers may encounter in teaching reading. Learners may struggle with reading for a variety of reasons, including the lack of exposure for reading and the lack of reading materials. The question is, how does this affect the teaching reading process of a learner? And how can we deal with this challenge? Now, let us observe the two scenarios. Good day, everyone.
Good day, ma'am.
Alright, today we will have a discussion about the definition and examples of minimal pairs. And since I told you yesterday to read in advance this topic, I expect that all of you are already knowledgeable for this one. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, now let us focus for the discussion. May I ask everyone to please read the definition of minimal pairs in page 71.
Minimal pairs are words that are very similar and only varied by a single sound. For example, when we say the word seat and sheet out loud, we are making very similar sounds. The only difference is the s and sh sounds at the beginning of words.
Alright, thank you for that. And now, class, what have you understood with the definition we have read? How about you, Thea? Can you please share your idea?
Minimal pairs are the words that single.
Did you read your book, Leia?
Actually,
what's the problem? Why you didn't read your book? I told you already to read it in advance, right?
Ma'am, Bea doesn't have a book because the book that was distributed to us was incomplete. That's why most of us don't have an English books.
Okay, I see. Alright, since we don't have enough time and we don't have any reading materials, we will just continue the discussion tomorrow and I will provide you a handouts for this one, okay?
Okay.
Alright, okay. Can you please get that? Good day, everyone.
Good day, ma'am.
Alright, today we will have a discussion about the definition and examples of minimal pairs. And since most of you don't have any reading materials or English book, I prepared some visual aid here. Okay, one moment. Alright. Now, let us focus for the discussion and kindly read the definition of the minimal pairs written in the visual aid, please.
Minimal pairs are words that are very similar and only vary by a single sound. For example, when we say the words sit and sheet out loud, we are making very similar sounds. The only difference is the s and sh sounds at the beginning of words.
Alright, thank you for that. Now, class, what have you understood in the definition we have read? Okay, Bella, please.
As to what I have understood, minimal pairs are two similar sounding words that differ in only one phonological element and have distinct meaning. For example, the word fit and feet.
Alright, very good. Now that we have finished the discussion and understood the topic very well, let's have a brief activity for this one, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Students need to be reading for pleasure, but your classroom doesn't have enough books for each student, and you can't afford to buy any more. Thus, lacking of reading materials is one of the challenges that can impede reading development of a learner. However, as a teacher, we need to take note that our duty is to strategize different ways to assure students' learning. If the school is lacking of reading materials, you as a teacher can use visual aids or provide handouts to the students to deliver lessons more effectively. By using these strategies, you can powerfully help the effectiveness of a discussion. It can also expand the students' vocabulary, memory skills, and a self-esteem. Aside from this, you can also build a massive classroom library with other people's books or use books donated by parents, community members, and local businesses.
Now you already have insight into how to deal with the problem of teaching reading skills. At this juncture, I will just summarize the knowledge that my groupmates imparted to everyone. Dealing with children with special needs can be tough, but I always believe that a learner can acquire the knowledge if the teacher is passionate and does everything to push learners to exert their skills. For those learners who have poor comprehension, poor decoding, or trouble remembering and summarizing, they need a strong backbone and a teacher will lend a hand, because I do believe every learner can learn no matter how slow the progress they make, as long as you believe in them and they later believe in themselves. Also, for those who are speed readers, the teacher must help learners to lessen their anxiety in speaking and train the students by practicing in order for the students to completely know the proper way of reading. Always give positive feedback to your students to help them build confidence in themselves. A lot of students do not have materials to read. The teacher's role is to let them borrow some books from school and help them learn the basics of reading to help them improve. Education is powerful. It will make the impossible possible. Everyone can learn it and anyone can be good at it. And that's all. Thank you.